thanks for tuning in. This is Optibotimus coming with another video review. And today we're going to be taking a look at the new Nickelodeon Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles live-action roleplay figures, otherwise known as the LARP Turtles. In the episode Mazes and Mutants, the four brothers dressed up like this. I'm absolutely loving the fact that we got a variant in terms of action figure form based off of that cartoon. Really carrying on that tradition that the original 80 Turtle figure started with off-the-wall crazy sort of looks for the actual figures. At least these guys appeared in the show. And I absolutely love it. It's so very fun. All of them, like I said, have the same packaging, except the bios here on the back are a little bit different. For Raph, it says carrying a big axe and wearing a horned helmet and fur tunic, which is nothing more than a spaghetti strainer and a shaggy rug. Raph transforms himself into Raph the Dwarf Barbarian. After getting sucked into an evil wizard's maze, Raph finds himself fighting by his brother's side to finish the quest and free April. You can see his weapon is a big barbarian axe. And then you also see some other figures that are out. You got Razar, you got Newt, as well as Slash. Those are currently hitting right now. And then Tiger Claw and the robotic foot soldier, I think, are coming fairly soon. And then you got a nice image of Raphael right there. Moving on to our little buddy Mikey, and Raph's probably going to fall. He likes falling. He just doesn't want to. We're just going to put him down. There you got Mikey the elf. You come around here to the back. And it says Mikey joins his brother in creating his very own LARP costume. Putting together a cap, tablecloth cape, and pointed ears, he grabs a bow and arrow and becomes the great elven thief. But to his surprise, he's sucked into a maze by an evil wizard. Now with real danger in the midst, Mikey works with his brothers to finish a maze and frees the princess, April. You can see his weapon is an elf bow. Now, unfortunately, he does not have the plus one ring of power, which very much makes me upset. So there's him. You got Donnie the Wizard, again, same sort of packaging. You got the figure there. Come around here to the back, and it says with a pointed bedsheet hat, robe decorated with stars, neck medallion, and a glowing ornament on his bow staff, which really wasn't anything more than a snow globe. Donnie is the magnificent wizard, ready to cast spells in the Turtles' imaginary game. But Donnie is shocked to find out all the Turtles have been transported by an evil wizard to complete his maze. After discovering the princess that needs rescuing is April, Donnie is motivated more than ever to defeat the maze and rescue her. And you can see his weapon is the wizard staff. Then moving on to Leonardo, otherwise known as Leo the Knight. Flipping him around, we got that same background but a different bio that says Leo creates the perfect costume and becomes the ferocious Leo the Knight. With his fierce medieval sword, garbage can lid, metal breastplate, and a pizza sauce can helmet, he's ready to take on his LARP adventure. Little did he know, his little game would send the Turtles on a challenging mission to save April. And it's based on the TMNT episode. His weapon is the medieval sword and shield. So there you have, I'm hitting things. There you have all four of these guys. Now we're going to do them all in the same video. Might as well get it over with, right? Quick and easy, nice and painless kind of thing. So without further ado, let's get these guys open and see how cool they actually are. Alright guys, so here we have the LARP Turtles opened up and out of their packaging. And starting off first,
Leo the Knight.
And as you can see, you have a really impressive looking figure here. I love the fact that a lot of the same details that the actual cartoon had are still here. Some of the paint applications aren't all that accurate, like the back of his cape was painted a little bit differently, but at least he's got the little rubber ducky on there, which I think is great. He does come with his, I guess, trash can shield, although it's a lot smaller than it was in the cartoon. And then you have his sword as well, and then also his little pizza sauce hat, which is actually hilarious because it also has little rulers on the side. I don't know how well that's going to come across, but zooming in to see that, you can see, well, actually you can see it. There's little markings on there that show that it's a ruler, and it's absolutely hilarious. I love the fact that he's got the blue bandana actually painted on there as well. I mean, that is really terrific looking. In terms of his other accessories, you got his actual sword here. Nothing too spectacular with that. It's just this molded gray plastic, and then, like I said, you got his trash can lid, which does have some decent detail put on there, but nothing overly extravagant. And then for the figure himself, as you can see, he's got this really big thing around here. His chest here appears to be, or his torso is all newly molded, and I think his feet are actually as well. Well, a lot is new on here. I mean, obviously he's got different forearms. The heads are different than any of the other previous versions. This can actually remove. You pop that off, and you can just pop that right back on there. But honestly, I have no idea why you would want to do that, and his arms are kind of weird just because of the way that this whole thing sticks out. I mean, it's kind of unfortunate, but I mean, there's no way you can get his arms all the way down. But when you're just posing him, it doesn't look too bad, I guess. And then taking this off, putting his little cape back over his shoulders, popping that back on there. This arm is a little bit looser in terms of some of the posability, but it's really pretty nice, and you can see that it actually fits up alongside his neck to make this drape down a little bit more. So when you get this on there, that just really does look hilariously awesome. He's got a little slot here in the back where his bandana can come out. You can take the sword, put that on there, and you can have this on here as well. Like I said, a lot of new molded pieces on here. It's very specific to the episode though, so don't expect to really do too much. One thing that I really don't like is you can see his feet. It almost is like they're reversed. Like this should be on that side, and this should be on this side, the way that they're angling. So it makes it hard to actually pose him. You have to twist his legs to get him to pose decently, I guess, and in doing so, like something like that, well, you gotta make sure his eyes are there, line up his eyes. You gotta position him just right to get him to stand, and that's very, very, very annoying, and I really cannot stand that. But articulation-wise, you can see that head is on a ball joint. The shoulders are on swivel, so you do get that moving in and out. But like I said, this here really hampers how low you can bring his arms down. He rotates at the elbow, rotates back and forth as well, and he moves forward and back. That's what I meant to say. He rotates at the wrists, nothing at the waist. The hips move in and out. They rotate forward and back, but you have to rotate that. Knees bend, they also rotate. I just really, I almost want to see if I can heat this up and switch these legs, because I think, I honestly want to say that it would probably work better if they were reversed. I mean, it just seems like it would, or maybe heat it up and warp that plastic a little bit to get him to stand better, because I really absolutely hate how he stands. It's so obnoxious. But there, and get him to stand. There you have Leonardo. Now up next,
Donnie, the wizard.
here we have Donatello. Now, as you can see, there's a lot also different with him as well. This whole torso bit is all completely different. It's basically all redesigned, and he doesn't have that whole shell thing going on, but you can see that he's got his robes going on here, and then coming up underneath, you can see that that's where the actual legs peg into. He doesn't have the shell thing whatsoever, so that's really neat. His arms do rotate, and you can get them folded down along the sides, but there's no elbow articulation or anything like that. Here's his staff. He does have his hands that do rotate at the wrist, but again, not much else in terms of articulation. At least he stands pretty good though. His legs are really nice and tight and close together. His whole thing here just pops right off. You have his head, which it's kind of goofy looking, but this little piece right here, you got the little section here in the back where his bandana goes through, but it doesn't really help too much when you fit it through there. It's actually better when you take that and leave it down there and then just put this over it. It kind of keeps this position a little bit better. But I love the way that this guy looks. He probably is my favorite, and it's just because it's Donatello more than likely. But you got some nice molded detail here. Again, lacking paint applications, but that's something that's very common. He does come with this staff, which is very warped. You can see it's a very soft, flexible plastic that really kind of hampers things. It's really fairly unfortunate, but he does have his little snow globe on here, but again, painted, and you can't really see much of what's going on. So that kind of stinks. But articulation, again, you got the ball jointed head, you got the arms here that just swivel and rotate at the actual shoulder, but you can get some nice poses with them. This one is very loose. I mean, ridiculously floppy. That you put it up like that, well, unless you twist it. If you put it up, it will not stay up at all. That's very unfortunate. The hips, they also have the forward and back. They rotate, bends at the knee, rotates at the knee. You do have the hollow feet, so that's kind of strange. But yeah, like I said, Donnie is probably my favorite. And a lot of it is probably just to do with the fact that it's Donnie. So I like it. Plus, he's also a very Gandalf sort of character, and I love Lord of the Rings, and I love Gandalf, and I just think that looks cool. And up next,
Mikey, the elven thief. Thank you very much.
and honestly, I shouldn't say that Donatello's my favorite, because Mikey just has so much whimsical character to the actual figure that it's hard for me to say that Donnie's my favorite, because this guy is really up there as well. As you can see, he does have the same kind of problem that some of the other figures had, in that he's got a new molded body and it keeps the arms from going down all the way. That's kind of unfortunate, but there's not much you can do. I mean, they really had to give him that kind of body in order to get everything in there. And then you come around here to the back, and you can see that he's got his quiver of arrows. That's also molded as part of this. Well, it's glued on there, I should say. But you can see it's all done in the brown plastic, but you can obviously tell what it is. And then for his actual little headpiece here, as you can see, it just removes. It's got a little strap underneath it. You got the little elf ears. You got a little feather right there, but removing it just reveals a very fun looking Michelangelo head sculpt. Really does give that Mikey sort of look. He also does come with his arrow, which again is just molded in the same, well, actually it's not. This is a little bit lighter of a color, but overall, I mean, really a great looking figure as well. For his articulation, you do have the ball jointed head, so left, right, nice full range of motion. The shoulders do have the full range of motion. It's just the molding of the actual torso here gets in the way, and he can't go all the way down. Now, so that is a little unfortunate, but I totally understand it. It does rotate, rotates here at the elbow as well, moves back and forth, rotates at the wrist. Then you come down here to the hips, they move forward, back, they rotate, bends here at the knee, also rotates at the knee. So you do have all that articulation. This guy actually does stand fairly well, as you can see. No problems, unlike Leonardo. The only thing that I can say that I think would be wrong with this is I wish he had his +1 ring of awesome. I mean, that was an extremely important part in the actual storytelling when it came to the Michelangelo character, and I think they could have easily put it in there. So it's a little bit disappointing that they didn't, but I mean, I guess that would have required more work to do, but I don't know why. If they're already remolding so much more on these, I don't know why they didn't remold his actual hand. But Michelangelo, like I said, I really shouldn't say that Donnie's my favorite, because this guy just really is a lot of fun as well. You do have to position him where his arm is up like that. Otherwise, it looks kind of weird just putting his arm down like so. But all in all, I mean, it is a great looking figure, and it absolutely captures that look of Michelangelo in that episode. And finally,
Raph, the dwarf barbarian. You should LARP on your knees so you look like a real dwarf barbarian. Oh!
Raphael, and this guy just, if anybody screamed dwarf, Raph absolutely does. again, a lot of newly molded stuff on here. The helmet does remove, and then it reveals another really nice face sculpt. I really think that Raphael and Michelangelo's face sculpt on here is even better than Leonardo and Donatello, and even better than the regular releases. I think it looks great. But you can see a lot of the new molded pieces on here. His entire torso here is completely new. This is his rug. And then one thing again that sucks is all the little silver buckles and things like that were not painted. I guess that's to be expected. We are talking about Playmates, but he also has newly sculpted forearms and newly sculpted legs, or at least lower part of his legs. The upper ones might be the exact same as the other figures, but again, another figure that stands perfect. So really makes me wonder if Leonardo's legs are reversed. But you do have the helmet. You got some really good molding on here. You got the skull right here in the center. You got his horns. It just fits right over his head. It does have a little slot here that can go on the or go around his bandana thing, and you can get that. I mean, that just, it absolutely looks terrific. He does have his axe, which is all molded in this great piece of plastic. You can see where his little tape would be and things like that. Just another great representation of the character from that cartoon episode. Articulation wise, head is on a ball joint as well, although this one is a little bit more limited of a ball joint. You don't get as much of a twist as you did with some of the other figures. His shoulders fully articulated, but again, the sculpt just makes it so you can't put the arm all the way down. It hits there and then it stops. Rotates at the elbow, moves forward and back. It's very tough to rotate it though because again of the molding, mostly because when you come around here you see his elbow pad there that gets in the way when you're rotating it around, but it still does rotate. His hips move forward back, they rotate there, bend at the knee as well. So all the articulation that all the other figures have is basically there. The only one that's really not as articulated is going to be Donatello because his arms are all molded in that one piece. But Raph also looks absolutely stunning. Now, all said and done, when it comes to Ninja Turtles, you are going to have to expect a whole bunch of different figures released in a variety of different looks. A lot of times, we don't ever see them in the cartoon. We've already gotten a couple, but these ones actually appear in the episode, and I think they did a terrific job of capturing that very whimsical, fun, and exciting LARP episode. This is a great way for kids who, if they just watch the episode, can have the figures to go and have their own adventures. And I think it's a great way to tie those two things together. Even as a collector, I think these are great. I love the episode. And when I first saw that these figures were coming out, I absolutely knew that I was going to have them. They really didn't let me down here either. I mean, the sculpts on here are terrific. They are missing some paint applications, but when you think about it, they do so many different variants, and there are so many figures that come out that if they did the paint decos that we would always want, the prices would probably be higher. And if you're a fan of the show, this is definitely a set that I think that you should pick up. These guys are right now slowly making their way into retail. So if you are looking for them, go ahead, get out there, and good luck finding them. But beyond that, guys, that's about it. So once again, I want to thank you for tuning in. This has been Optibotimus. Don't forget that you can keep in touch with me by liking my Facebook page at facebook.com/teambotimus and by following me over on Twitter at twitter.com/optibotimus. I'd also encourage you guys to check out my new website at optibotimusreviews.com, where you can see all my videos from the previous week, as well as see what I have coming up for future release. And finally, guys, I'd also really appreciate it that if you like this review, to please like, comment, and share this video. And until next time, I'll talk to you later.